Dayton on the schedule? Who called who and how did it?
Well, it was a part of my contract when I left Dayton to play a home and home, so that's why we're doing it.
If it weren't for that, would you have ever thought about it?
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great test for us, and they're very good. They've had great success over the last 6 years. Playing BCS schools, they have a tremendous record, and the reason why is because every player on their roster can play at this level. And there's not that big of a difference anymore. And they have really, really dynamic guards, and their big guys are getting better, and so it's going to be a tough game.
Sorry, Rod.
Talk a little bit about Oliver. He leads the team in assists and rebounds both, so he seems like a pretty versatile player.
Well, when we recruited him, we really felt that versatility was going to be his greatest strength. The one thing he's done an unbelievable job of is that he's gotten so much stronger. We recruited him a little more as a wing, and he's playing a little more of the 4 spot for him. But what he is, he's a perimeter player that can defend post players and is a great rebounder, has a great feel for the game. It's been fun in the limited amount of time prior to this week watching him just grow and develop as a player. He's done a great job, and the coaches there have done a great job with him.
So just a little emotional, is that the downside? And because they're a solid program.
Yeah, I mean, every game there's an emotional piece to,
Yeah.
and then some more than others. And we had one on Friday night, and then, and then this Wednesday. Games are difficult, and when you add that piece to it, they just become a little more difficult. But it is what it is. It's whoever plays better during the 40 minutes usually wins the game. And our job right now is to progress from where we were on Friday, have a couple good days of solid practice, and then get ready to play a very talented and very well-coached team on Wednesday.
Does this feel like a homecoming for you in a way against Dayton?
Homecoming wouldn't be the word I would use. I mean, again, for 8 years, it was such a big part of our lives. My daughter was born on a game day. She was baptized in UD Chapel. In that community, everything revolves around Dayton basketball. Every one of my friends either went to Dayton or played at Dayton or was associated with the university. It's just a different setting. And so there's always, there'll always be a connection there. And as I said, this is the first time in 3 years that I'm hoping they don't win, and it's just, I think every coach, from Coach Donaher to Coach Purnell to myself, feels that way.
Of course, that emotional piece extends beyond you, too, with the other members of your staff.
Yeah, Josh played there and coached there. Billy coached there. So there's a lot of ties there. I wouldn't be in the position I am right now if it wasn't for the University of Dayton. And a lot of good people. I learned a lot when I was there and was surrounded by a lot of high quality people, not just the coaches but people around the school as well.
You've got 3 games under your belt right now. Are you at a point where you thought you would be at the start of the season, in your mind when you thought ahead before the season?
Well, I think we're making progress, and I think that's the biggest thing. We still don't have all our pieces in place, so there'll be another transition when that happens, obviously starting Wednesday with Chris coming back, and then we're still waiting on Jason as well, because if you looked prior to the season, you would say those 2 guys are in your playing group and key guys. Jason being a senior, bringing a lot of versatility, and obviously Chris being a starter returning. So I like the progress that we're making, but it's going to probably take a little bit of time for us to get a great handle on not only rotations and as we continue to develop roles, but also different combinations and different things we can do.
Chris will come off the bench, I'm assuming.
On Wednesday, yet to be determined.
Okay. He would get, obviously gives y'all the 3-point element too with the shooting, maybe
That's what we hope.
Yeah. Well, has he been doing it in practice?
No, yeah. I mean, he had a very good summer, and has obviously worked hard to not only become that that exceptional shooter that we need, but also expand his game as well.
Does his role depend on how he does or how he's done recently in practice? Is that what you're saying, or?
Yet to be determined.
Okay.
You were an assistant coach for a lot of years, and you had to wait for the right job.
Yep.
Why was Dayton the right job?
I was obviously fortunate at being at Michigan State and working for Coach Izzo, not to just take any job when I had the opportunity to become a head coach, but to get the right fit, and Dayton was the right fit. It had all the key elements. Had a great tradition, unbelievable fan base, very good academics, and a solid recruiting area where you could bring in players from not only the state of Ohio but the majority the Midwest, and so it was a good fit for me and for my family at the time. You had really good leadership. You had a great AD in Ted Kissel that was a basketball guy, kind of cut his teeth as an assistant AD at Arizona when Lute Olson was there, so he knew what a great program looked like. And so, all those things, and just a great opportunity. I was very blessed, fortunate to be able to kind of skip a level and go to, a basketball program where every game you had 13,000 people, and a tremendous following, and tremendous facilities, and tremendous support.
It's kind of, when I was at Duke when Spurrier was there, and he left for Florida, and some people were mad, but most of us got it. Do you kind of feel like that's what people around Dayton feel about you, or have you run into, a little
Well, nowadays you get a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But that's part of the business. You know what I mean? It was the right time and the right challenge here at Georgia Tech. For me, I've been, it wasn't an easy decision at the time, but it was the right decision. I think the people that know me well know how I felt about Dayton and all the things we did there and the guys I coached. At that particular time, it was the right move. And I feel really good about it.
How did that help you? Because you mentioned you didn't have to, quote, skip a level. Or you did skip a level. You didn't kind of go to a program where you were dealing with all due respect, quote, lesser athletes.
Yeah.
You were coaching the kind of guys that, as you say, many could play here or anywhere.
Yeah.
Did that help you in the years you were there in that sense?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It did. The recruiting aspect of it.
Yeah. Looking for the same kind of
same
guys.
type, and we played so many, quote unquote BCS. If that, I know that's a football term, but that's you use it in basketball. We played so many of those teams, and very fortunate to be very successful against those teams during that stretch, especially those last 4 years where every player at Dayton was someone we had brought in. We were very successful. So I do think it helped. It helped the transition here. The other thing it did do, it added credibility, to this system and style, and the points of emphasis, can definitely work.
You've faced a lot of zone early in the season. What do you expect to see from Dayton?
They've played every possession man-to-man so far, but we always prepare for both. I think Archie's done a good job in terms of building that defense up. I think they're playing it extremely well right now. So, I would assume that we'll see mostly man-to-man, but we always, we work on zone every day because it's something we need to get better at playing, and it's something that we need to constantly get comfortable with.
Do you know, have you and Archie kept up in any way, or is he?
Yeah, we see each other on the road and so forth, you know what I mean? Most of our contact with people back at Dayton was, our friends. And like I said, it's Bill Ewell, who was a great player at Dayton, whose father was an All-American at Dayton. Ed Young, a great player at Dayton, that made the miraculous shot against DePaul when DePaul was #1 in the country. Bucky Bockhorn, the radio guy, the legend.
Mm-hmm.
We talk once a week.
Still?
Yeah. I need a laugh once a week. That's what the deal is with Bucky. And all those people, they're, again, it was such a big part of not only my life, but our family's life. Yvette was really involved with Secret Smiles, a charity there. And so she's, it's one of those places you never really leave. Yeah. You know what I mean? You never really leave. I mean, that's good. I feel very fortunate because of that, and at the same time, feel really good about what we're doing here.
Have you been back to see any?
I have not been back.
Yeah.
I have not been back.
Yeah.
My wife has, you know, she's got her tennis buddies that she goes and visits and has a couple yearly events that go on there that she goes back for and so forth. But I have not been back.
What about